Hello and welcome to It's Your Life Own It. My name is Marissa Bludorn. I am your host and I'm so excited to be with you this morning. Our focus and topic of the day is about setting goals. We're now shifting out of one season and shifting into a new season. We've done our vacations. We've hung out with family and friends, beachside, poolside, backyard barbecues, and all that. And so now we're shifting back into gear. Kids are going back to school. Our children are entering into colleges, and we're looking at going back to work. For those who are in the academic realm, you're back into the schools and we're back into the office and we're ready to finish the year strong. We're going to focus today's topics on how do you overcome life challenges or challenges when you set goals? How do you remain focused to the point of completing them? Taking center stage and owning it with me is contributing writer Teresa Ann Palmer. Thank you, Teresa. Welcome. And Nathaniel X. Ross. And so, listen, we are folks who know about setting personal, professional, and business goals because we've seen them achieve. We've achieved so many of them. And like I always say, I didn't realize, we talk about high achievers and high performers and things like that. And I never really even realized that I fell into any of those categories until, of course, my kids are gone. And now I'm like, okay, now it's time for me to focus on myself and get the things done that I really, really wanted to get done. And so it always seems like all hell breaks loose, especially if it's a life goal or a goal that you really, really want to achieve, and it's not the easiest thing to achieve. Then it seems like everything wants your attention. Whether it's dieting, trying to lose weight, then everybody's having a party where you got to eat. Whether it's setting a goal or trying to go back to school and you're focused on writing your papers and getting your papers done, and everybody wants your attention. Teresa, share, introduce yourself to the audience. Maybe folks have seen you before, not seen you before. Introduce yourself, but talk about some of the challenges that we face when we have set goals and we want to achieve them, and how life can just happen. How do we remain focused?
Sure. I am Teresa Ann Palmer, and I'm a nurse practitioner. My expertise is holistic cardiology, and I deal with the heart, but I deal with it in a very broad, holistic perspective. And that means what I teach people to do is to use their heart to their advantage on a daily basis. Because too often we don't think about our heart until something goes wrong. And I've seen that over and over again in 30 some years of practice, that if we could pay attention to our heart and use our heart as an ally, our heart could actually help us in everyday life, because our heart really is our power. It's our power within. And when we start looking at things like goals, I prefer to call them intentions, because I think intention is more you're working with what you really want to do. What is your passion? And why is that your passion? Sometimes we try to lose weight because other people tell us we need to, or we quote unquote need to be healthy, but it's not something that we're passionate about. So when I look at goals, I look at intentions, and I help people to realize what is really important to you, what really sets you on fire. And that's where your heart comes in. Because if you could be passionate, be joyful about something, you're more likely to achieve it. And still knowing that life, there's something called divine timing. And what that really is you can't force something to happen. So you may set an intention and you may say, I want to do X by February, but that may not be the time that it's going to happen. And I think that's where we get disappointed, because we get focused on time and we get focused on, I want this done at such and such a time. And that's not always how life really is. So a lot of times when when we could use our heart, we could sit back and we could say, things will happen when they happen. And you just keep moving forward. If you get stalled, there's a reason for it. And then I think, too, you need to go inside yourself and say, am I blocking this? Or is it because for some outside reason it's not ready yet to happen? And I think that happens a lot when people are starting businesses. And their goal is to get a business up and running. They want to do X, Y, and Z, but they may not have everything internally inside themselves ready for what they want to achieve. And I think that's a big piece that we're missing, that we get focused on the external, but yet what's going on inside us? Is there any fear around what we want to do? If there is, how do we get past that fear? Do we have all the necessary tools that we need inside us in place? Because you can't be successful with something unless you're successful inside yourself. And I'm hoping that that does make sense to people, that it's really an inside job. And that if things don't work out, there's a reason for it. And what we need to do is explore that reason. And if there's nothing we could do about that reason, then we need to wait until that timing is correct for something to happen. Because when you work with your heart, and when you really have the passion and the joy about what you want to do and how you want to accomplish it, from there it's kind of, the spirit takes over. And when it takes over, it gives you the right timing for what needs to be done. And things can't be pushed. And right now, the energy in the outside world is a lot of chaos. There's a lot going on. And sometimes also that energy has to settle down before the timing is right for something. So I'm hoping that that makes sense to people.
Yeah, yeah, excellent perspective. I really, yeah, excellent perspective. I want to come back and circle back around to um, becoming complacent. So sometimes in that thinking process where we're saying like, well, it's going to happen, it's going to happen. Sometimes we can become complacent, but I want to address that a little later on. Nathaniel, let us know what your thoughts are.
Well, in terms of complacency, I think that it goes, we take a step even back further from that. And I think we need to look at, are we telling ourselves the truth about whatever it is that we're setting out to do? When we set our goal or our intention, depending on which words you want to use and how you want to frame it, are you being honest with yourself? And most people are not honest with themselves. And the universe has two powers. There's the power, there's positive energy and negative energy. And so when you take those two powers, it goes to truth and lies. So if you tell the truth, you're telling yourself the truth, you start to operate from a powerful position. If you tell yourself a lie, you will operate from a weak position. And most people are operating from weak positions because they're not being true and they're not being honest with their intentions and with their goals that they're setting. It sounds good, whether, to themselves, to other people, it may even feel good, but it's not necessarily what they really want to do. And going back to what Teresa said, it has to be in your heart that
Mm.
you're doing this because you want this, because you need this. And when that is indeed the case, when that is your truth, you're going to succeed. And also, as Teresa said, it may not come when you want it to come. It's going to come when it's the right time for it to come. But it all goes back to looking at yourself. And most people want to externally point to someone else or something else or the environment for to blame them for why they're not successful, as opposed to looking within themselves and going, in most cases, I'm not successful because of something that I am lacking in, something that I'm not thinking about, something that I'm not doing, because we're so busy looking to point the finger at, oh, these people are stopping me. Oh, the system is stopping me. Oh, and so on. So it all goes back to being honest with yourself, and a combination of, Teresa talks about the heart, but it's a combination of the heart and logic, right? And so you got the brain and you got the heart, and a lot of people can work very well from logic, and a lot of people can work very well from the heart. But in order to truly be successful, you have to be able to merge the two, the heart and the logic, merge the two in order to get the end result you're looking for.
Hmm. Yeah, I like how you shared it, and you talked about the spirit. And so, in other platform, other discussions that we've had, you talked about the spirit. And my thing is has always been, your why must make you high, right? You have to be fully like addicted to what it is that you want to do, and you have to focus on what matters most to you. You gotta be self-aware so that you see self-sabotaging behaviors too. And that means that sometimes you just got to step outside the world. Teresa talks about the environment right now. The external environment is chaos. It's in chaos, right? When you are rooted and grounded in knowing yourself, even though chaos is around you, you have stability because your foundation is strong. And even though I don't know all of the things in regards to Teresa, uh, practice, ideology, and everything else, I do say I resonate with what she's saying. There is chaos all around. People are hectic. When you sit back, I'm a people watcher. So when you can sit back and see people just swarming around within themselves and in their own chaos, it's amazing to watch that if they would just settle their spirits, quiet themselves, and focus, they could see all of that chaos. And like you said too, it's the blame game, Nathaniel, where you divert or deflect and say, "Hey, it's them. It's those people over there." That's the whole premise and foundation of own it. It's your life, your career, your business. You have to own the good, the bad, the ugly, and indifferent within your own self. Self awareness should, if you really love yourself, should lead to self development. And what is self development? Self development is the pursuit of just being better. I'm going to improve myself. I'm going to get access to resources, tools, education that's going to help me to learn myself in a better way, know how I'm designed and how I'm wired, so that I understand how to function and show up in life for myself. Self development should lead to a place of self mastery. This is not perfection in any way, shape, or form. This is knowing thyself, knowing the triggers, what makes you tick, what ticks you off, and how to navigate through that to get the results that you want. We talk about living a fulfilling life, but if you don't even know what that is, how can you be in pursuit of it? And we gotta get to a place where we quiet ourselves. It is critical for you to go and have quiet time in the morning so that you set your day right on the right kilter. We don't do that. I like quiet time in the morning because it helps me to slowly and in a more relaxing way enter into my day. If I do that, then I am less irritable. I am more patient. I am more relaxed in crises, than being more reactive. I show up in more of a proactive. Why? Because I have grounded myself first to enter into my day. So what are some of the techniques, if you could share with the audience, starting with Teresa? What are some of the I know for me, now working for myself, but I remember going into my job at Princeton University. It was always very hectic because we provided support for the entire university. So by the time I got in there, sometimes we were already in crisis mode. So some may say, I'm not going into my job earlier in the morning, but I did it not necessarily for my job. I did it for myself to show up 2 hours before our doors opened. I would be at work at 6:30 in the morning. One, because it was easier for me to get there in traffic. There's no traffic at that time when I was coming in. The other thing was I could relax. I can have coffee. I can have quiet time. I can look at some emails before the start of the day. That helped me to show up better on the job. Some people say I'm not doing that, but you want to do some of these things because you want the results that it brings you. You will sacrifice that in order for you to get the results that you want. It made me calmer. We're a customer service providing department. I knew that. It made me calmer to our clients throughout throughout the university, when I was there, when I relaxed my way into the day. So that's some of the things that I still use that approach. I'm still an early riser. I get up early. I want to make sure that I'm relaxed. That is critical because I know that there are triggers that are going to happen throughout the day, and I don't want to come out of character. I want to try my best to preserve and make sure that I'm always in a good stance and good character. Teresa, what are some of the techniques that you use in regards to handling the chaos? Because that's a way that we handle chaos and keep ourselves grounded in the midst. We don't have to become a part of the chaos. We can be a part of the calming and bringing to order, if we can keep ourselves grounded in order ourselves. So, Teresa, your thoughts?
Yeah, definitely. The things that I use and the things I teach my clients, there's really there's three important things. And the first thing is definitely quiet time or meditation. I know people sometimes get turned off with the word meditation because they think you have to sit in a certain a position for 20 minutes. That's not the case. Meditation could happen just by sitting quietly or by even laying in your bed before you get up, to just take 5 minutes to just keep your eyes closed and just either focus on your breathing or just relax. If thoughts come into your mind, we're human, we have to think. There's no such thing as emptying your mind, is you just don't dwell on them. So you take that little time. I like to do it upon awakening. So whether you awaken in the morning or whether you awaken at night, because there are people that sleep during the day and work at night or do things at night, it's important when you awaken to just be calm, to relax, spend that quiet 5 minutes with yourself. If you prefer to do it seated, just close your eyes. If any thoughts come to you, just thank them for coming, and that's it. There's also walking and moving meditations. So some people like to take a walk. If that's what you like to do, be fully present when you're walking. And that means look at what's around you. A lot of times people will take a walk, they'll go with a neighbor or a friend, which is fine, but then they're chatting away and they're not really concentrating and using that walk time to connect with themselves and to relax, to get into their own body, their own spirit, their own mind. Some people prefer yoga. I do a yoga practice every morning. It only takes me 10 minutes. I do certain asanas or postures, and those ground me for the day. And lastly, breath work. It's so important how we breathe because we don't pay attention to our breath because it just happens. So if you could take a deep inhalation and really feel the air rising all the way up to your chest. Pause for a moment and then slowly exhale through your mouth. It's a count of 6 to the inhalation. Hold it and then slowly exhale through your mouth. What that does is it automatically puts us in a state of calm because it sends a signal to the brain that everything is good. So we don't release the stress hormones. We release the feel-good hormones, the things like dopamine, things that make you feel energized but relaxed rather than stressed. And also, when we breathe, the heart connects directly to the vagus nerve. And there's a lot of talk now about the vagus nerve. It's the parasympathetic nervous system, it's the calm and peace. So, if we could pay attention to our breathing, do our daily quiet time or meditation, whether that be sitting, lying, or moving. Even dance is a form of meditation. So some people like to dance, turn on a music, but be fully present about what you're doing. How are your legs moving? How are your arms moving? That puts you in the present. And once we could get into that state, we could remind ourselves during the day, take a deep breath, exhale. You could breathe intentionally anytime, any place. But if we do those things throughout the day, we become more grounded, and what's happening on the outside around us doesn't affect us because we've got that inner peace and calm. And what Nate said about the brain, if you could work and get the heart and brain going together, and that's called coherence. That's again has to do with the breathing, the meditation. When we do those things, we align the heart with the brain. So they're getting the same message because the brain is a pre programmed response. So it goes by how you have responded to things in before. It's kind of like a computer, but you could change that program. And you change that program by also getting in touch with your heart, which is the parasympathetic nervous system, which then sends the message to the brain that everything is good. And that's called heart brain cohesiveness, coherence. And if people want further information about that, HeartMath has done a lot of work with that. So I'll now turn it back to you, Marissa.
Yeah, that is so good. And I was going to mention that that's something that you could do throughout the day. So I would recommend that you do that throughout the day. If you feel like that chaos is spilling over into you internally, take a minute. We could take breaks throughout the day at the job or whatever, step away. And sometimes if no one's around, you can actually do that while you're sitting in your chair. I know for me, if I got to say a quick prayer or anything like that, I will say it. You could be standing right in front of me, I can do it. And so you want to be able to do those practices throughout the day, because there is no one stop and you're done it all. When you do it in the morning, there's a disruption of that. There could be a disruption of that during the course of the day. And you have to reground yourself. And so that's what it means to be self-aware. When Teresa is saying, be present is to get connected with yourself. It's nice to have friends around. We love our friends, we love our family, but you got to love yourself. And the only way that you love yourself is by spending time by yourself and having those self conversations, those true and honest conversations that Nathaniel is talking about. You got to do that by yourself. You cannot do that with an audience. You're not going to be able to have those introspective moments that are required for you to level up, to go to the next level, to buck the system, as Maslow's hierarchy of needs, come into that place of self-actualization, truth to yourself, and authenticity. You must be alone. And we run from ourselves because we don't want to deal with ourselves. But the best thing for you to do to move forward is just to get in love, fall in love with you, fall in love with yourself unconditionally, and start setting and making the goals and the intentions, as Teresa said, that align with your desire for living a fulfilling life. And so, Nathaniel, we only got a couple of minutes left. I'm going to let you share your thoughts in regards to that and the techniques that you use to remain grounded. And, also too, that when you're setting a goal and something happens, how do you, how do you not make it an excuse for reaching your goal and make a decision? Like you always say, we have a choice. Make the decision to choose yourself and your goals, as opposed to allowing life to continue to happen to you. So, Nathaniel.
I think fundamentally, we people that are successful, we all use the same techniques. So, the quiet time, the meditation, staying focused, looking at the end result, how you're moving the needle forward. So if you don't mind, let me flip the coin and give you the other perspective so people can understand what the challenge really is. If you have never really experienced peace and tranquility, it's hard for us to articulate that to someone. Most people in the world do not understand, nor have they enjoyed peace and tranquility. Most people, and I do in a workshop, I say, how many of you are junkies? And people look at me like I'm crazy when I ask that question in the workshop. How many of you are junkies? And they go, well, why do you ask the question that way? Well, if you're constantly shooting something into your body, and Teresa probably can talk more about it better than I can, but when you change the chemistry in your body, and your body changes, you react to it, right? And it's not that I'm saying people are taking drugs and they're shooting something into their body, but our bodies are made up of chemistry. And based on how we think and how we feel determines what chemistries are released. Most people they get that adrenaline rush when they're out there and they're taking on the world and they're conquering a problem and they get the problem resolved and they want to move on to the next big thing, and how am I going to resolve this and make the world a better place, and so forth and so on. And it's that rush that they're chasing, the rush, and they're so busy chasing the rush thinking that that's going to get them to the end goal of the peace and tranquility, and they'll never get there because all they're doing is they keep pumping their body with chemistry, whether it's the adrenaline rush, or whether it's something that's creating the depression within them. They're going up and down, up and down, up and down, as opposed to just saying, stop. Let me stop. Let me do some self development and learn how to control how I think, how I feel, and what I believe. And when they do that, when that shift can occur, whether they're doing it through meditation and get through education, then they can find peace and tranquility, and then they can shift from one to the other. But it's a big challenge. It's a real big challenge because of the chemistry and all. And Teresa, you may be able to elaborate a little bit more on that than I can from the scientific perspective. But that's my 2 cents worth on it.
Well, that was some good 2 cents because you're right. People are chasing the rush or they're chasing the dream, so to speak. And I'm often said, Marissa, you do a lot. You're busy, and it's like, no, you don't understand that I have quiet time. I have me time. I preserve that time. My children will tell you, and even growing up in our house, there were times that we said, quiet. No, no, we're going to be quiet. We're going to relax. We're going to chill out. Tranquila is what they say in the DR. It's like just relax. And I taught my kids to do that as they were growing up because you need that. You need that where you don't have the world tugging at you, where you preserve that limited access to you. We call it retreat, to refresh and reset. You have to have that downtime. It's a must. You must relax yourself, and because that's how you're going to end up showing up in life. But what's the real reason for all of the jet setting and running and doing all of these different things? And oftentimes you find out that when those people sit down at the end of the day, they're still not happy. They're still not fulfilled. And what we do, I know I'm looking at you guys, what we do, the work that we do, and what we're in pursuit of is our life's assignment. We're designed and purposed to do the things that we're doing. And when you're in alignment like that, it's not about the rush or the thrill. It's about the impact, the difference that we are making, and helping others. And so we rest in that. We rest in our gifting and our purpose. So when you're resting in that, there is no rush to do all of these different busy things. It is always intentional and strategic, and we are measuring the results and the impact that we have. This has been amazing. And we've hit so many different areas. I just want to say thank you to Teresa. Thank you to Nathaniel, because the work that we do and the information that we share, our perspective, our insight, and our experiences Really, we do it to share in hopes that people will take what we say, apply it in their lives, and see some different outcomes. Um, it's just simple. That take the time to focus on what matters most to you. It's your life. Own it. We love you guys. We pray our words inspire you. Till next week. Thank you, Teresa. Thank you, Nathaniel, for your time. I really appreciate you. We're out, guys. Have a great week.